bring back in Martin Savage, and I also want to bring in Paul Butler. He's a law professor at Georgetown University. Professor Butler, let me start with you. How unusual is it for the Justice Department to take a course of action against a state like this?
You know, this is a very dramatic and historic confrontation. It's the federal government versus North Carolina. It's states' rights versus federal rights. And in that sense, it's not unprecedented. The Attorney General alluded to the struggle for racial justice back in the 1950s and 60s. Then that issue was decided in the courts. Here it will also be decided in the courts, but we haven't seen a case like this in a long time.
So, Martin, as the Attorney General suggested, this began when the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, passed an anti-discrimination law. How did we get from there to here?
Well, that quickly was pulled up by the North Carolina state legislature. They were not keen on that a city would deem some sort of action that they felt was the power of the state. So that's when this new legislation began to drawn up, and it became known as the bathroom bill. And it essentially said that people, transgender, had to go with the biological sex bathroom they identify with, not with what they identify with now. So that's where we have come to. It was an issue brought up in a city to protect rights. Now many say it is an issue that's been taken over by a state legislature to deprive the rights here. That's certainly the point that the federal government is trying to make. Then they're asking in their lawsuit for a preliminary and permanent injunction against North Carolina to prevent further violations, and also to grant such additional relief as the needs of justice may require. In other words, almost carte blanche to do whatever the federal government needs to do to bring North Carolina into compliance. It's already been threatened with cutoff of billions of dollars.
And Professor Butler, opponents of this law, like the governor of North Carolina, say that it would allow grown men to go into the ladies' room where they could do who knows what to a little girl. I've asked supporters of the law to give me an example of that, and I have not been able to hear of one. Tell me more about this charge from the governor about what this law might allow.
So it really is a solution to something that was not a problem. They're just not documented instances of people who the governor derisively called cross-dressers going into bathrooms trying to harass people. So the courts will look and see, well, what is the purpose behind this law? And if it's just animus, if it's just trying to make transgender people feeling less than other people, then guess what? That's unconstitutional. So the Civil Rights Act doesn't say anything specifically about transgendered people, but it does outlaw discrimination based on sex. And so the Obama administration's interpretation is that discrimination against transgendered folks is sex discrimination, and therefore it violates the federal laws against discrimination.
Professor, before you go, how likely is it that this will end up before the Supreme Court?
You know, it's possible, but interestingly enough, the Fourth Circuit, which is a very conservative federal appellate court, came down on the side of civil rights for transgendered people. So I don't know if they're going to even get a case from a lower court that goes in favor of North Carolina against the Obama administration. The Attorney General was right that history and the law seems to be on the side of the transgender civil rights movement.
All right, Professor Paul Butler of Georgetown University and Martin Savage, thank you so much. Appreciate it.